Ethan's breath hitched as the words slithered from his mother's sewn lips. The voice that was not hers coiled around him like a noose, tightening with every syllable. "Welcome home." His mother's body convulsed violently, her head snapping to one side as if yanked by invisible strings. The black threads that stitched her lips together began unraveling, slowly peeling away, revealing a darkness that pulsed beneath her skin. A thick, guttural sound gurgled from her throat, something ancient and knowing. Ethan stumbled backward, his pulse roaring in his ears. The walls of the house warped and stretched, the old wood groaning as if the entire structure were breathing. The floor beneath him softened, shifting like something alive. He wasn't in his childhood home anymore. Not really. This place, whatever it was, had been waiting for him. A sudden movement. The chair scraped against the floor as his mother rose, her limbs moving in jerky, unnatural motions like a marionette pulled by unseen hands. Her head twitched to the side, her empty sockets locked onto him. "I waited for you," she rasped, her lips moving sluggishly as though the words were being forced through her rotting mouth. "You shouldn't have left." Ethan's breath came in short gasps. "You're not real. This isn't real." She took a step forward, then another. The ground beneath her cracked, a black, oozing substance seeping from the floorboards. Her fingers stretched toward him, long and gnarled, their tips stained dark with something wet. "Come home, Ethan." The walls buckled. Shadows leaked from every crevice, twisting and writhing, forming shapes, faces, familiar ones, the priest, the townsfolk, Olivia, all of them watching, waiting. Then a whisper, not from his mother, but from somewhere deeper in the house. "Run." His body reacted before his mind caught up. He spun on his heels, lunging toward the front door. The moment he moved, the house roared to life. The walls pulsed, the ceiling stretched upward like a gaping maw. The doorframe elongated, receding farther away with every desperate step he took. He could feel something behind him. Close. Too close. The air turned thick and rancid, pressing against his skin like cold hands. The whisper came again. Urgent. Desperate. "Run." Ethan's feet barely touched the ground as he bolted forward, heart slamming against his ribs. The hallway twisted, warping into endless darkness. A figure flickered at the edge of his vision. A woman. Olivia. She stood at the end of the corridor, her hand outstretched. "Ethan," she called, her voice barely audible over the howling void behind him. "You have to wake up." He didn't hesitate. He reached for her, their fingers grazing, and then darkness. Ethan's eyes flew open. He was lying on cold, damp earth. The taste of dirt clung to his tongue, the scent of decay filling his lungs. He gasped, his fingers digging into the soil as he pushed himself up. Graveyard. He was back in the graveyard. The tombstones stretched endlessly in every direction, their inscriptions unreadable beneath the thick fog that clung to the ground like grasping fingers. The lantern, the same one from before, still flickered in the distance, casting eerie, wavering shadows, a soft rustle behind him. He turned sharply. Olivia knelt beside a grave, her face pale and drawn. Her fingers traced the worn inscription, her expression unreadable. She didn't look up as she spoke. "We don't have much time." Ethan swallowed hard. "What's happening to me?" She hesitated. "The village is trying to keep you here. It's been waiting for you to come back. The longer you stay, the harder it will be to leave." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling beneath his fear. Why? What does it want from me? Olivia finally looked at him, her eyes heavy with something that sent a chill down his spine. "It doesn't want you to leave because you belong to it." The words settled into his bones like ice. "No," Ethan whispered. "That's not true." She nodded solemnly. "You were never supposed to escape, but you did. And now it's pulling you back." Ethan's mind reeled. Memories, half-formed, broken pieces, stirred at the edge of his consciousness. The feeling of small hands grasping his, a voice, urgent and scared, running through the dark, past the church, through the trees, a promise. He shook his head, forcing the thoughts away. Then how do I stop it? How do I get out of here? Olivia stood, her gaze drifting toward the lantern. "There's only one way. We have to go deeper." Ethan stared at her. "Deeper?" She nodded. "The village isn't just a place, Ethan. It's alive, and the answers you need, they're buried at its core." A shiver ran down his spine. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to escape while he still could. But something inside him, something buried deep, whispered that Olivia was right. If he wanted to break free, he had to go deeper. and that meant walking straight into the village's waiting arms.